this is Dana with Dana Digital Tutorials. And today I'm going to answer some questions that some of my viewers had about why do I create the seamless portion before I upscale, and sometimes people will create the seamless portion after they upscale. Neither one is correct or better than the other. They have their pros and cons, and I'm going to show you that today. We're starting with this fish, and this fish has already had the seamless created on the edges, and I'll show you that wrap here. And if you zoom in, you can see that that wrap is pretty well seamless on the back. In order to upscale, you can use a third-party upscaler. There's quite a few out there. I'm going to do another video that will show you the different versions and which one creates the best version, but also is the easiest to use, because I think that a combination of the two, good enough and really easy to use, is important. We're going to start with this image, and we're going to use the Photoshop. It's called Neuro Filters, and if you go into Filter, Neuro Filters, and then you come down here to Super Zoom, and you click it over. Now, whenever I created the seamless wrap, I also upscaled this just a little bit, so it's 1250 pixels across, and that means that I'm able to just 4x this and create a perfect 5,000 pixel image. Let me move my photo here, and you can see down here at the bottom we can choose output as new document or new layer. If you choose a new layer, you will need to resize your canvas to the new sizes, or new document will just pop a new document up with your scaled image. If you scale up your canvas before you upscale, instead of taking about 12 seconds, it's going to take 6+ minutes. So I always recommend that you keep your canvas the same size and you upscale. That way it is much faster. So we're going to hit upscale or OK. And we created a new document, untitled, and this has been upscaled. Now, if we were to check the match on this one, I have a little action here that makes it easier for us. It's just swap the sides. You can see that it has done a pretty good job. There's a little bit of imperfections here, but I think that whenever someone prints a seamless tumbler, they already are going to have a little line there, and they're never going to pick up on that single pixel imperfection. So it's okay. So we've already done this, and we're going to go over to my other file, which is the same image, and we're going to go through the differences of how the different scalers work and how they match on the back end. So we have an upscale here with the Photoshop, and just like I showed you previously, and if we check that match, we can see that match here is dead on. So I may not have matched it correctly when I was showing you the wrap on the previous image. Now we can run that same upscaler, and we can sharpen it a little bit, which will bring some of that fuzziness back in. But the problem is when we check that match, we're going to have a definitive line. Anytime Photoshop sharpens, it will soften the edges a little bit, and that's what you're seeing in this white line. I wouldn't want to give this to a customer because it's a lot more obvious, so I would leave it unsharpened. Now I do have a third-party unscaler that I use, and I'll go over that whenever I compare all the videos. But what I'd like to do is show you the difference in the clarity. So this is the sharpened. We're going to get rid of that. We're going to go back to the standard Photoshop. This is the standard Photoshop Neural Filter Upscale. And my third party, you will see it is much clearer. Let me go back off. This is the Photoshop one, and this is my third party one. It does a lot better job, but the old version of this software would make a perfect seamless wrap when we started with 1250. But their newest updates, we're again going to have some of these little lines. All I've done is switch it so that you can see. But again, that line is just a single pixel, and I do not think anybody's going to pick up on that, because the way they wrap on a tumbler, that is going to be a line that's seamed anyway. So now we're going to flip over to another file. It's cats, which you probably saw a few minutes ago. And they're so cute. This is the original file, but I have upscaled it to 1250, and I have created the seamless wrap. So this is the original, and then this is the upscale, and this is checking the match. So you can see it does a really good job. So if we were to take this image and we were to switch it, let's hide those back layers so you can see what I'm doing, and I'm going to zoom out. And then we were to create a generative fill layer to fill in the whole top to bottom on this 5,000 pixel image, then you are going to see that we have some quality issues. So his eye is not nearly as clear here on the generative fill as it is on the right. And the reason for that is because we selected more than 1,000, or actually it's 1024, 1,024. It is just not super clear. And we can go up here and we can see this eye is not nearly as clear. And so I don't like doing it that way. If you're going on a digital tumbler, that might not be very noticeable because it's a small image, but sometimes people will use these images and they will maybe print wall art, or they will put it on a larger project, and they're going to start noticing it. And some of your customers will be what we call pixel peepers, and they will come in and they will look at the file large, and regardless of whether it prints well or not, they might not like it. So the other option we have if we do the seamless wrap after we upscale is that we can do it in sections, and we can keep to that 1024 in the different sections. And I've already done that here to save us time. You can see here I've done the different sections. So we'll start at the bottom. And I did start at the bottom because I thought creating that mouth would be a little bit easier first. And then we created the eye. And here's where I started to run into problems. I will show you the different variations. Not one of them really matches well, and that's because it's not able to look at the whole picture when you're doing such a small area. And so your generative fill may not be as smooth and pretty, especially on a complicated image like this one. So we'll go on up and you can see that these different ones just aren't that great. Whereas if you had the whole, it at least matched the eyes even though it's fuzzy. Whereas if we did it first and then we upscale it, then you can see the Photoshop enlarged after matching. And then you can see where we've swapped the sides here and the enlargement. And you'll see it did here, there's no line at all. It did a really good job. Whereas on the fish, there was a very small line. So that is why I choose to create the seamless wrap before I upscale, because I like to be able to select the whole thing, but I also like it to be the same amount of quality. I hope that you enjoyed this tutorial and look forward to our next one where we're going to go over different upscalers. Have a great day.